Hello and welcome to Raju Notes channel, your pit stop for weekly current affairs updates. The updates tailor-made for students taking all kinds of competitive exams like UPSC, civils, defense and placement interviews. Please subscribe to the channel and stay updated every Sunday. Microsoft has warned that China is gearing up to disrupt the upcoming elections in India, the United States, and South Korea by using artificial intelligence generated content. The warning comes after China conducted a trial run during Taiwan's presidential election, employing AI to influence the outcome. According to Microsoft's threat intelligence team, Chinese state-backed cyber groups, along with involvement from the North Korea, are expected to target several elections scheduled for 2024. Microsoft said that China will likely deploy AI-generated content via social media to sway public opinion in favor of their interests during these elections. World's largest digital camera, the size of a car, built. The SLAC, National Accelerator Laboratory, operated by Stanford University, has completed the construction of the largest digital camera ever built for astronomy. It is roughly the size of a small car and weighs around 3,000 kilograms. Once set up atop a telescope in Chile, the 3200 megapixel LSST camera will help researchers better understand dark matter and other mysteries of the universe. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in China on 8 April for an official visit. During his 2 days visit, he held talks with the Chinese counterpart Yang Yi on bilateral cooperation, situation in Ukraine, and both the Asia-Pacific region. Lavrov's visit to China comes at a time when both countries are looking towards strengthening diplomatic ties. The two continent-sized states, increasingly in dispute with the Western countries and NATO, seeks to gain influence in Africa and the Middle East and South America. Supreme Court of India recognizes rights against climate changes as the fundamental right for the first time. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court of India has expanded the scope of Article 14, that is right to equality, and Article 21, that is right to life, of the Constitution of India to include right against the adverse effects of climate change. Without a clean environment which is unimpacted by the vagaries of climate change, the right to life is not fully realized, said the Supreme Court. India gets access to Myanmar port amidst crisis. India has gained approval from the Ministry of External Affairs to manage its second international port in Sittwe, Myanmar, after the Chabahar port in Iran. India Port Global, that is IPGL, will now oversee operations at the port situated on the Kaladan River. Myanmar lost its one town to terrorist rebels. Rebel advancement in the town of Mayawadi along with Myanmar's border with Thailand mark a notable setback for the army since its takeover in February 2021. Over 600 military personnel have surrendered to the rebels following the recent assaults on the military installation. Indian Sensex closes above 75,000 marks for the first time. Indian investors' wealth climbed rupees 2.27 lakh crore on Wednesday this week as the benchmark Sensex closed above 75,000 mark for the first time. Sensex climbed 354.45 points or 0.47 to settle at 75,038.15, while Nifty 50 climbed 111.05 points to reach a mark of 22,753.80. In the previous trade on Tuesday, Sensex hit its all-time intraday peak at 75,124.28. Jagjit Pavadia is re-elected to the INCB. India secures key United Nations position including International Narcotics Control Board. India's nominee Jagjit Pavadia has been re-elected to the International Narcotics Control Board INCB for the term 2025 to 2030, securing the highest number of votes in the elections conducted by the United Nations Economic and Social Council ECOSOC. Floods in Russia and Kazakhstan. Towns evacuated. More than 100,000 individuals were instructed to evacuate regions of Kazakhstan and Russia due to most severe flooding in at least 70 years, as reported by Reuters. The cause behind the heightened severity of this year's annual flooding from snowmelt remains uncertain, although scientists attribute worsening of flooding globally due to climatic change. Germany to open economic ties with Singapore. During Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong's visit to Berlin, Singapore announced plans to upgrade its relations with Germany to a strategic partnership. According to Straits Times, both countries are committed to open trading system and combating economic fragmentation. Until now, France has been the only European country with this level of partnership with Singapore. Who is Gopi Totakura, second Indian to fly to space after Rakesh Sharma? Gopi Chand Totakura, 30, is part of a 6-member crew which will fly to space for Jeff Bezos-led space startup Blue Origin's mission. The Andhra Pradesh-born would become the second Indian to fly to space after Rakesh Sharma. After finishing schooling in Bengaluru, he got bachelor's degree from the United States. He flies jets commercially and can also pilot seaplanes and gliders. India invited to attend high-level meeting on Russia-Ukraine war in Switzerland. Switzerland will host a high-level international conference at achieving peace in Ukraine, to which India has also been invited. The conference may be attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as it is being held back-to-back with the G7 summits in Italy, to which leaders of most major global South countries, including India, have been invited. And now for the segment where we see the events that unfolded itself this week back in history. 8th April every year. Celebrations of the Buddha's birth. On this day, most practitioners of Buddhism in Japan celebrate the birth of Buddha, who lived in India sometimes between the 6th and the 4th century BCE and founded Buddhism. 9th April 2003, Fall of Baghdad. Baghdad fell to United States-led forces on this day in 2003, several weeks after the start of Iraq War. A conflict began to oust Iraqi President Saddam Hussein because of his supposed possession of weapons of mass destruction. April 10th, 1938. Anschluss approved in Austria. In a controlled plebiscite in Austria this day in 1938, soon after Adolf Hitler's invasion of the country, 99.7% of Austrians approved the Anschluss. In Germany, it is called the Union, the political unification of Austria and Germany. 11th April 1814, Napoleon's abdication at Fontainebleau. On this day in 1814, during the Napoleonic War, Napoleon was facing an invasion of France by force bent on his overthrow and pressed by his own officers, abdicated unconditionally at Fontainebleau. 12th April 1981, launch of first space shuttle. On this day in 1981, NASA launched the first space shuttle, Columbia, which was designed to orbit Earth, transport people and cargo to and from orbit spacecraft, and glide to a runway landing on its return to Earth. 13th April 1895, Alfred Dreyfus imprisoned on Devil's Island. Accused of selling military secrets to Germany and convicted in an irregular trial against backdrop of anti-Semitism, French officer Alfred Dreyfus was imprisoned this day in 1895 on Devil's Island of French Guiana. 14th April 1865. Abraham Lincoln shot. On this day in 1865, after the effective end of American Civil War, US President Abraham Lincoln was shot down by John Wilkes Booth while attending a production at the Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and died the next day morning.
Well, that's all, friends, for this week's updates. See you soon next Sunday on the same channel. Till then, take care. Bye bye.